Hi everyone, this is Ashley, and I'm back with a message for you all about the comparison game, comparing your life or yourself to other people. Personally, I believe that people of all levels of maturity in Christ experience periods of being discontent and may start to look at other people's lives and wonder why not them. They may ask, well, God, why can't you bless me this way? I think that it's perfectly okay to want what someone else has. It's not okay to envy them or to become very jealous, to be overcome with discontent. That's very, very dangerous. A lot of times when we talk about discontentment and we talk about comparing our lives to other people, we talk about it in a very condemning way. I am not trying to condemn anybody. It's very, very human. It's very natural. But as we grow closer to the Lord and start to understand Him more, we start to see things within us that are not godly. And so the goal is to change it. But it's very natural. And I personally think it's very crucial in developing a stronger relationship with the Lord. When you go through these periods where you're discontent, you start to learn to be content and you start to learn how God operates and you start to humble yourself. I think it's very, very important to go through these phases. I'm not saying that you have to go through any area of discontentment, but I do believe that most people do, if not all. And we go through those times and we just have to be honest about them and open about them and start to learn how we cannot be overcome with a spirit of envy or jealousy or a spirit of discontent and comparing ourselves to other people. So I am not here to condemn anyone. I really just want to share scripture with you that illustrates just how dangerous being discontent and comparing your life to other people can be, but also to encourage you and strengthen you so that the next time you are in a point where you feel discontent, you're not overcome with discontentment and you're not overcome by comparing yourself to other people. So I want to start in chapter 12 of Numbers, and I'm going to read this part of the scriptures that is when Miriam and Aaron start to criticize Moses, and they are very discontent with the call that God has on Moses' life to compare to the call that He has on their lives. And a lot of people talk about Miriam as just this jealous woman, and she did go through a period where she was very discontent, and so did Aaron. But they were both very, very crucial parts of the Israelites' journey from Egypt into the land of Canaan. Miriam herself was very instrumental in Moses' life at a very young age. She is the one who saw Moses, her little brother, be put in a basket to drift off down the river. And because of her concern and love for Moses, she intervened and she went to Pharaoh's daughter and asked her to care for that little baby. She was very instrumental, and God had a purpose for her. So she's not just this crazed, jealous woman, but she did go through a period of discontent, and it teaches us a lot about discontentment and comparing our lives to other people. So I'm going to start with chapter 12. It says, Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses because he had married a Cushite woman. They said, has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Hasn't He spoken through us too? But the Lord heard them. Now Moses was very humble, more humble than any other person on earth. So immediately the Lord called to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam and said, go out to the tabernacle, all three of you. So the three of them went to the tabernacle. Then the Lord descended in the pillar of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tabernacle. Aaron and Miriam he called, and they stepped forward. And the Lord said to them, now listen to what I say. If there were prophets among you, I, the Lord, will reveal myself in visions. I will speak to them in dreams, but not with my servant Moses. Of all my house, he is the one I trust. I speak to him face to face, clearly and not in riddles. He sees the Lord as he is. So why were you not afraid to criticize my servant Moses? Now, there's so much in just this little short section. Just to let you know, Aaron and Miriam are, prophets. God spoke to them, but God had a favor over Moses' life. He recognized the righteousness that dwelt within Moses. The Bible makes mention of how he was very humble, and God says he's my servant. He sees me face to face. Now, there were many prophets, just like there are today. There are prophets to whom God gives visions and dreams. But there are very, 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 very few people, and Moses was one that saw the face of the Lord. And so God had this favor over him, and that doesn't mean that he didn't love Miriam and Aaron, but God had that special relationship with him where Moses could see the Lord's face. And Miriam and Aaron became very jealous about it. And God says, well, who are you? Like, this is my servant. And how dare you criticize him? He's doing what I've called him to do. I put him there. How dare you criticize? And so right off the bat, we see that God is not pleased when we're discontent. He's not pleased when we're looking over here at what he's given somebody else. And so I want to just keep reading so that we can learn a little bit more about the dangers of the comparison game. The Lord was very angry with them, and he departed. As the cloud moved from the tabernacle, there stood Miriam, her skin as white as snow from leprosy. When Aaron saw what had happened to her, he cried out to Moses, "Oh, my master, please don't punish us for this sin we have so foolishly committed. Don't let her be like a stillborn baby, already decayed at birth." So Miriam is the one who's stricken with leprosy. And a lot of people are like, well, why is it Miriam? She's not the only one that sinned. Yes, she and Aaron sinned. They sinned together. But you will see how their sin really caused a setback within the Israelite nation. So let's keep reading. So Moses cried out to the Lord, "Oh God, I beg you, please heal her." But the Lord said to Moses, "If her father had done nothing more than spit in her face, wouldn't she be defiled for 7 days? So keep her outside the camp for 7 days, and after that she may be accepted back." So Moses is, Moses is righteous in the eyes of God, but he goes to God and asks for God to heal Miriam, and I'm pretty sure he wanted her to be healed right away, but he wasn't, because God had a plan. He knows exactly what he's doing, and Miriam was healed. God will heal us, and the prayers of the righteous availeth much. But Moses was able to go to the Lord with all of his favor, and God said no. She has to be kept outside of the camp for 7 days. And then the scriptures go on to say, so Miriam was kept outside the camp for 7 days, and the people waited until she was brought back before they traveled again. Then they left and camped in the wilderness of Paran. So this is so important, because of their discontentment, because of their comparison or their comparing of God's call on Moses' life to their own. They cause a big setback. She has leprosy. She has to be left outside of the camp. And Miriam was very instrumental. She was a prophet, and she spoke the word of God. She was a beacon of light for many people and for many women. And because of her discontentment, she had to be outside of the camp. She could not be fruitful in what God had for her because she was concerned about what God had for someone else. And she had to be kept outside of the camp for 7 days. And the scriptures say that they waited for her. They waited for her to be brought back for them to travel again. So here you are, you're trying to get to the promised land, and because of discontentment, you now have to wait. As to where you could have moved forward, you now have to wait because of somebody else's discontentment. So our discontentment keeps us from being active in what God has called us to do. We're so concerned about what somebody else is doing that we can't be fruitful. There's somebody out there that needs you to do what God called you to do. And if you're worried about why God called this person to do that when you want to do that, you're not being productive. You're not being fruitful. You're causing harm to yourself, but you're also affecting other people by keeping them from moving forward. And this story really illustrates just why comparing yourself is so dangerous. It's not that it just sounds bad. It's not just because you don't want to be called a hater or you don't want to be that jealous person. It's because it really interferes with our purpose and what we're supposed to be doing in this life. And of course, a lot of us may ask, well, Why couldn't I have that call? Why not me? Why not me? I'm righteous. I love the Lord. But here's the thing, it's not about us. It is just simply not about us. And Miriam and Aaron had very crucial roles. God chose Moses to be the one in the forefront, to be the leader. But Miriam and Aaron were very crucial in the Israelites being led out of Egypt into the land of Canaan. And like I said, Miriam had a role and a purpose very early on in life when she didn't even know. When she was just a tiny baby, she intervened so that Moses could be raised, properly and, with to be nurtured. Like, she intervened. She was very, very crucial. She wasn't the one in the forefront, but she was very, very significant. And so a lot of times we want certain roles. We want to be the soloist, but God called us to be the alto who sings background. And it's not that you are any less important or any less talented. It's just that there's somebody who needs to see you up in that choir stand and needs to hear your voice. There's somebody who needs to hear strong alto section, minister to them and sing to them, so you don't have to be the soloist. So sometimes we get a little too wrapped up in ourselves and what we want, and we forget that, God's plan is so great and it's above us. We have to submit ourselves and humble ourselves and realize that, hey, this is just not about me. So if you're stepping outside of what God has for you, there's that person that needs you to be doing something that will be set back, just like we see with the people of Israel. And that goes for anything. That's anything in life. You want to be the CEO, maybe God called you to be the VP of marketing. You want to be the lead singer, maybe he wants you to be the manager. Like, there are so many things that we want with our human eye, but God says, you know what, I have a plan. I've designated people. You have a role, they have a role. Don't cross roles. Do what it is that I've called you to do. Don't be so discontent that you get off your path. When you get off your path, you affect so many other people. Okay? And a lot of times we go to God and we ask him for things, but we have to remember that he knows best. He sees everything in totality, So it might sound great to be that lead singer. It might sound great to start that business or to be the one in the forefront, but God knows so much more. He knows bigger. We have to learn to trust him. We have to learn to trust that what he has for us is A-okay, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be fulfilling. And at the end of the day, it's not about us anyway. It's really about his greater plan for this life, for this generation. And so I just liken it to children. Many of you may have children. Your child may ask you if they could be on, the basketball team this year, or, go over their cousin's house. And that sounds like a good thing, but everything that we ask God for is not necessarily the best thing for us. He sees everything. So you may be asking him for something that you see other people have, but God sees something different. You may say to your son, yeah, I want you to be on the basketball team, but you might see that he has skills someplace else, and he needs to nurture that. Or you might know that if he gets on this basketball team, he won't be able to manage his studies or whatever. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't let your child be on a basketball team if they want to be. That's not the message. The message is that sometimes we go to our parents asking them for things that are no good for us. They may sound good, but they're not good for us at that time. And God sees bigger. You might have a daughter who wants to go over her cousin's house, but you know that her cousin's mom and dad are fighting right now, and she doesn't need to be there interfering or to witness that. You may know that, perhaps that cousin's mom and dad are struggling financially, and they can hardly pay for their children to eat dinner and provide dinner for them. So they definitely don't need another child in the house. Like, sometimes we see things and they look good to us. They look like they should be for us, but it's like God sees so much bigger, and we have to trust that what he has for us is great and not be so discontent, because when we get discontent, it only makes us feel bad. When we start comparing, we step off outside of what he has for us. It's impacting us just like we see with Miriam, but it's also impacting other people. It's keeping people from moving forward. So just make sure that you're staying put in whatever God has for you, there are people depending on you to do what God has called you to do. So I hope you all find that encouraging. I hope that you remember that story anytime you get caught up in comparing your life to other people. And I pray that you learn to be content and that you're strengthened in anything that you go through. So I'm here not just to teach you all, but to support you all. So if you have questions for me, if you really just need somebody to pray with you, to counsel you, to just give you a word, just you can message me and we can, talk about how we can communicate. Because I'm your sister in Christ and I know how important it is to have people in your life that know the Lord and are pushing you to have a greater understanding and pushing you to be more of who He called you to be. And I know how important it is to have people, teaching you and helping you see things from a spiritual eye in this world. So if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section or you can message me. Again, it's Ashley with True Virtue Ministry. Please follow my channel, subscribe to my channel, share my channel, and follow me on Instagram as well. My name on Instagram is Ashley Michelle. It used to be True Virtue Ministry. I might change it back, but right now it's Ashley Michelle, and that's where you can find me. Have a good night.